Welcome back everyone, another compilation of jobs from the workshop for this week. First up we've got this Ribble. A few issues I've already addressed, but the main issue is this headset. Yeah, you guessed it, everything's internal. So everything's got to come out and we've got to get new bearings in here. Let's get cracking. So I've already done a video on this model before, not this exact bike, but the same model, I think it was a red one, doing exactly the same job. So I'm not going to cover every tiny detail, I'm going to fly through it fairly quickly for a compilation for you. But there's one thing that I want to try that everyone's been telling me, it sounds a bit sketchy to me, but I'm going to give it a go to see if it's a game changer or not. So I'm going to incorporate that into this video, but basically fly through the rest of it. The basic premise of this, we've got to take the bar tape off, we've got to disconnect the brake hoses from the lever, pull those through the internally routed handlebar, take the stem off, take the bearings out and change the bearings. The only potential issue we got is if these hoses are not long enough, then we would need to run a new brake hose all the way to each brake. We don't know yet until we get in there. There might be plenty of slack in there. We don't know yet. Like I say, I will cover this fairly quickly. If you want to see it in a bit more detail, maybe check out that other video. It's a comparison of a non-internally routed bike versus something that's going through the bar and the stem, obviously. So quite a big difference. However, all these people keep telling me could make life a lot easier. And I've also got something else I want to show you after we've done this job on this bike. Anyway, let me get these unwrapped, come back to you. So this bike is Di2 and it's older Di2, so we have cables here. That's the main reason this bike came in, was a Di2 issue. Turns out the issue was previous owner fitted a 10-speed chain onto an 11-speed system, as you do. And they also fitted the directional Ultegra jockey wheels back to front. If you look at them from the rear when it's on the bike, you can actually see they're offset by a good, at least a millimetre, so it does make a difference. I wasn't a believer, but I am now. I'll disconnect these. You can never get this spanner in here, it's a waste of time. Another mini heat wave in the UK, so I've got my shorts back on. Sorry, hairy legs and all that. The headset bearings on this are either they're too loose or they're just a bit notchy. There's no kind of fine balance, so we're just going to bite the bonnet and do them. They've got to be done at some point, so today's the day. I've already bled this rear brake once, so I have to do it again now. Oh. Right, so the $1,000,000 question is, have we got enough slack to pull this hose through to re-terminate? So we've got to chop this off, that is your issue. Nothing on that side, that's for sure. This one is the rear brake, I'm in the UK. Even that is going to be potentially long enough on this one, yeah. So front one potentially might need a new hose. However, I do want to try something. Every time I put one of these videos up, somebody says all you need to do is use a Dremel to split this olive down the middle, peel it off, and then you use the original valve. It feels sketchy to me. You've got to get this nut off to get this hose out of this bar. It does feel a bit sketchy, but I've got nothing to lose anyway. If it doesn't work and I damage the hose, I'm fitting a new hose anyway. So I'm going to give it a go and see if it's as sketchy as it feels. Joking. Hey, I have my Dremel. This posh foot operated one. I've had this thing for ages. So what they keep saying is you're literally just going to slot this down here, but I honestly can't say you're going to do this without damaging the hose. So let's give it a go. Use this clamp to hold it a bit firmer. Because I've got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, I'm putting a new hose on anyway. So let's go. Safety glasses on. The problem is it's already compressed below the level of this hose, so you've got to go basically scratch the hose to get it off. And, this is just nonsense. And that's through there, you can see that. Let me just put a screwdriver in now and see if I can twist it off at this point. Like I say, this is only the front brake, so it's really not the end of the world, but potentially on some bikes it might be a bit of a mission to redo the back one, so it may help you. Not enough yet. Problem is anymore, it's going to cut through this hose, I know it is. Maybe I should use a smaller cutting disc, that might help. Let's try that. There's a smaller disc now, see if it's any better, but I'll be honest, I could probably run a new hose by now. Nah, this ain't happening, guys. That's off, and there's no way in the world I'm going to put a fresh olive on that and send that out the door to a customer. I've got liability insurance, etc. to consider, and that is not good. So yeah, I mean, the idea, I get the idea, but unless I'm doing something completely wrong, but that's all they said, just slot that, pop it off, job done, no chance. That worked about as well as I thought it was going to work, to be fair, so I'm going to put a new hose in here. If you don't have to do it properly, put my video up and we can all learn. In the meantime, I'll do it the way I normally do it. Cut this as short as you possibly can to cover the bottom of the barb, basically here. And I've lost probably 10 millimeters of hose there, 11 millimeters. It's just going to be really, really tight to put that in there. It's going to need a new hose for sure. Back when I'm confident I've got enough. Obviously we're just going to cut this one off as well. I'm not doing that stupid idea again. That one's definitely got enough, so that's fine. I was looking forward to getting my Dremel out of retirement as well, but no chance. This will come off now, and these hoses, etc. will come through the bar. I'll take this mount off, it's in the way. Poke these hoses through the bar now, at the same time as lifting it up. Like so. There's the two hoses, and we got one Di2 cable. And then you've got to get all this back through the internally routed bar as well, from here to here. Alright, so that's got to go through. We've got two cables here, one of those will go through to the other shifter. And that's it. So we're disconnected. And then you can take this off. Now you can get your bearings out. I've already been here and cleaned them and put some grease, etc. But I just wasn't happy with the performance, hence we're changing them out now. This one here. Put this wheel off, take the other one out. And the fork will come out now. And the second bearing obviously is here. If I wasn't messing around with that Dremel, I could probably have that out in 5 minutes. Obviously putting it back together takes a bit longer. You've got to re-terminate and bleed the brakes. These gloves are normally fantastic. I normally get 2 days out of these in the workshop. They're absolutely awesome. There's a link in my Amazon list below, but I've tried every glove under the sun, trust me. What is up with these bearings? This is the top one. Yeah, they feel great. Bottom one feels actually really good, but let me see if I've got any. That's the next question. Of course I don't. Every bearing under the sun as per usual, apart from the one that you need. Always the same. Anyway, I'll get those ordered and jump back to this when they arrive tomorrow. Right, so we're back onto the next day now, and guess what? I was looking for bearings I didn't have, and I did have them because the one that was in there, which I was measuring from, was the wrong bearing. And I put that in. Went to the effort of taking the fork out, etc. Like I said, it did look pretty much brand new. Put the wrong one in. Absolutely fantastic. It's a millimetre too shallow and it's the wrong diameter. This is the right bearing. That's how it should be fitting. Amazing. So you can see how much work you've got to do to get this bearing out. So they've done all that, they've not changed the top bearing, and then they fitted the incorrect bottom bearing. Fabulous. So that would kind of explain why I couldn't adjust the headset. Right, shall continue. Pretty much glue this in now. It was a very good fit anyway, so. And then we can go back to the top end of the bike. There you go, the right bearing. I've never seen that before. There's pretty decent information on Ribble's website, so I was like, why is this like a millimetre shallower than every single site that says it's the right bearing? There you go. So I've just got a new piece of BH90 here. It's about 4 inches too long at the moment, which is great. So I'll just terminate that through the fork, back to this caliper, and I'll come back to you when we're ready to fit it to the bike. So there's a new hose fitted there. It takes 2 seconds, terminated. Drop this through the frame now, put it down onto this stool. Get this top bearing in. I'm still confused how they managed to do that, because some bikes you can change the lower bearing without too much difficulty without dropping all this out, but on this one you can't, because you can see how much slack there wasn't with everything running through the bar and the stem. So you can't just slacken things off and pop a new bearing on this, it's impossible. So they have had to have done this to get there. New bearing in there. You drop your compression in, there's a little slot in the front obviously there where everything's got to live. It's pretty basic, this one is. You can see which my new hose is because it's nice and straight. And this one, there's a slot in the front of that for these. I know we've got a spacer, but we can put that in later, that's not a problem. So there, that's my front brake, this is my rear brake, UK. Then comes the fun and games. So now we need to get the hoses through here, and then back out of the end of the bar here, and a Di2 cable as well. So this is, it's a bit of a nightmare this bit, I'm not going to lie. So Di2, I've got an empty port here, that's where that one came from. To be fair, I didn't need to unplug the other two, but anyway, it's a 2-second job. So that needs to go in here and out of there. So let's see if we can do that one first. Plenty of slack in here, just take that out for now. Just basically throwing it in this direction and you should see it down here fairly easily. Hopefully. There are obviously cable routing kits that you can use for this, but we'll see how we get on first. There you go, not too bad. It's fairly easy, that was, like I say. Brake hoses, I'm not going to be quite so easy because they're very rigid. So I'll get that plugged in, stop it falling out. You don't have this problem on the newer Di2 kits because the shifters are completely wireless, so there's none of this. Or SRAM, obviously you don't have that problem. So I'll leave this out to get it out of the way for brake hose. And then this one here is my rear brake, which needs to come out of this hole here. This is going to be by far the most difficult bit. In fact, I think I'm going to run a cable router. I'll attempt to keep it in focus for you, but you need 4 pairs of hands at the best of times to do this job, so So I'm going to do the longest one first, the front one. No, I'm going to use a cable router because that's going to be near enough impossible otherwise. So I use this magnet here to pull this through. Then we've got a barb on the other end that will screw into the hose and pull it through, hopefully. You can see it. Into this. There's one. Now I can screw that into the brake hose on this end and pull that through that. Too much difficulty, hopefully. It doesn't need much persuasion, but it just needs guiding more than pulling. I should do it. Let's go with that, see what happens. The rear one is going to be a bit of a challenge because it's not excessively long like this one. Sorry, someone's just started cutting tiles outside or something. Sorry. There's that one anyway. That was fairly straightforward, that one. So we can leave that one there for now and then work on the back one. Do the same again. Wish me luck. There it is. There you go. Super quick, that one. The hose, however, may be a different story because it's a little bit short, remember? It is long enough just to connect, but could be tight. Let's go for it. Once this is through, it's pretty straightforward. Like I say, I apologise if this is not in focus, but I've only got one pair of hands and currently I need 4 and another one to focus the camera. That's about through actually. I think now if I put this onto here, it will give me enough to pull through. So let's do that. It's easy. The cable's easy. Well, the hose is actually there, so we're about there. Right, that hose is through, so now I can just throw all this on basically there and pull them through properly. Kind of there, loosely. Whew. So I'm going to throw this spacer on now, just to keep everything together really. It goes underneath this one. Like this. Like that. And then I'm going to actually button this down really, to be honest, because it's just going to be as much slack as possible in this rear brake hose. It is just a little bit short. Well, it's not short, but you know what I mean. Right, that's fine there. And that one. And that one. And now I can actually check the headset before we go any further, in case you've got to take it all out again. Just unlikely. You never know. That feels good there. There's no slack there at all. And there's certainly no notchiness or tight spots. That feels a million times better than it did. It was kind of there, and then that much extra it would just basically almost lock up on the notches of the bearing. Now that feels fantastic. And there's absolutely no play there whatsoever. Good, fixed. Now we've just got to terminate these brake hoses and we're pretty much done. Right, okay, we've got more than enough there. Push this cable through into the bar where it used to live. Di2, you need to tape a little loop of cable down here, according to instructions, in case it gets pulled obviously. You're not going to damage it, so that is about right there. And that one there. They'll basically tape down there like that. Same on the other side. New barb and olive on this, get that in there. Push this barb in. Not gonna lie, I would have liked another inch. Story of my life. Right, that's it. Then you need olive, and then you need a bit of grease on here. Just aids installation. It's in Shimano's instructions. You can actually start this nut first with the olive inside the lever. That's how they get supplied by Shimano. It just makes life a bit easier sometimes. Like that. Don't tighten it obviously, because you're just going to crush the olive and won't get the hose in, but get it kind of there, and then you'll be able to push that hose in and you'll feel it just drop through the olive, hopefully. Oh man, this is tight. That's what he said. Sorry. Gotta stop doing that. Right, just pushing this through now. Right, that's definitely bottomed out there. Good. Just enough, flipping heck. Now we compress the olive. And done. So I'll just do the same on this one here. You can see I've got all the slack in the world now because it's the new hose. So I'll mark this up. You can push a bit of slack back into the bar to help the next person that has to do this job. So basically just it'll loop itself in the bar. So I'll just terminate this while ignorant person's hoovering and then come back to you. Well, I've had to shut the door, give up. I haven't got all day to wait for him to finish. So all that's left to do on this now is to bleed the brakes. I'm not going to cover that on this video. Just showing you really the work that's involved doing the headset bearing and selecting the right bearing. That always helps. Anyway, so I'll do that off camera and then we're going to come back to this bike. I've got something else I want to show you on this bike. So give me 5 minutes and I'll come back to you. So that's all done, brakes are bled, headset feels absolutely beautiful, unsurprisingly. So that moves us on to bar tape. So the guys at SEER have reached out and sent me a big box of their fancy bar tape, FOC, which is very nice of them. So I'm not being paid for this. This is a gift, obviously, but I'm not being paid to advertise this. If it's rubbish, I'm going to tell you it's rubbish. So the customer's going to be a guinea pig for this. So he's getting this nice black bar tape free of charge. I'm going to see how well it wraps on this bike. So it looks really, really nice tape. It is available on Amazon, UK and US. So if you do like it, I'll put some links below. They are affiliate links, so I might get 2 pence back if you actually buy it, but I'm not getting paid for this, I'll repeat. It's a freebie. But yeah, it looks actually really nice. Pretty decent range of colours. Yeah, this orange is quite nice. This Celeste, we've looked at this, we're very, very close to putting this on this bike. I'll show you. It's actually a really, really good match. It's just a little bit on the green side in the sunlight, so I think it's a very good match for Celeste. Not quite perfect for this, so we are going with black. Quite excited, that's just my first freebies. And it's only bar tape, but hey, you've got to start somewhere, haven't we? Let's have a look at this. There's some finishing strip, but I probably won't be using that. I'll use my normal loom tape. A couple of plugs that look better than most of the cheap rubbish that you get with them, so they look okay. These guys have been around since 2013, so they're not new on the scene. But it's the first time I've looked at their products. Instructions there, etc, etc, so looks pretty decent. So the customer did ask for lizard skins, but I did offer him this because it's free. He obviously jumped at the chance. So he will be a guinea pig for it, report back if it's damaged, etc. But I'm more interested to see how well it wraps, to be honest, today. But let's see if we can get it on. So I'm just going to wrap my normal figure of 8. We've got some writing on here, SEER, so we're going to start here so you can actually read it. And go figure of 8 in my preferred direction. First impressions, it's got a nice stretch to it. Good. I think the price of this, last time I looked, was about £18, which in the world of bar tape is not too bad at all, I'll be honest. I think they're working on a couple of secret colours. He sent me a picture of one, but they are obviously still developing products, which is nice. Yeah, this is going on really nicely, I'm not gonna lie. Just keep checking underneath. You wouldn't believe how many times you get all the way up here and you've left a gap on this first bit here. I know some people suggest put their plug in right now, just in case you've messed up, but I've got plenty of spare bar tape, that's for sure. I say I'm not charging customers for this, I'm not getting paid for it. It only seems fair. Share the love. I could quite easily charge a guy 30 quid, but I ain't doing that. So now we'll go up and under and around. And reverse that back over here. Check your hood, make sure you got no massive gaps, absolutely no problem there. Shimano hoods are great for this. As I say, I did a video recently with the Campag and they're so short, it's really difficult to hide this piece sometimes. Right, I'm officially liking this tape already, we haven't finished yet. It's very nice. So we're going to finish it here. It's a bit more challenging because normally you want a bit of an angle by the time you get to this piece so you can taper it in quite nicely, but you're not going to get a chance to do that. It'll be straight by the time we get there, pretty much. Almost get an angle. That, my friends, is very nice tape. I'm impressed. Right, let's get this plug in. I've potentially left this a bit on the short side, but let's see if we can get it in. Beautiful! Absolutely no problem. It's got a real nice texture and grip to it, very soft. Nice thickness as well. Yeah, I do actually like that. I'm not just saying it, but I do like that tape a lot. Very nice. Right, let's just finish this end up. So normally, by the time you get your tape to here, you're at a nice angle and you can cut a nice triangle on there, but because we're finishing here, you're a little bit restricted as to how well that's going to work. So we're going to go right underneath here. And that's the imaginary line of the bar there. That should be about right. A lot of people will just cut it flat here and stick it underneath it. Just don't do that, it just looks terrible. Just trim this off now. You don't have to put a dotted line on it, I just prefer to do that. I need some new scissors, guys. Anybody recommend some? These are only very cheap ones and they are starting to annoy me. Looks not bad there. Pretty happy with that. I'm not normally a big fan of finishing tape, but let's see how it goes. Normally not very well. That seems to have stuck on pretty well. I mean, if you're anything like me, you'll probably use this loom tape or something else to finish it off with, but let's see how it sticks overnight. If it falls off, we'll change it to this. Somebody mentioned they warm this up and finishes it quite nicely, so we'll try that. So quite happy with that. Again, I repeat, I'm not being paid for this. This is a freebie. And if I don't like it, I would very clearly tell you I don't like it, but I am actually really impressed with that. That feels really, really nice. So yeah, get the other side wrapped up and this can go back to the customer. And obviously we're cutting this quite short, but let's see what sort of length we've got if you need it. I think it's safe to say that's going to be enough for any bar. There's so many bikes in that are wrapped like this. It's like, oh my God. Strong tape, I tell you. Either that or my scissors are complete rubbish. They're definitely not the best, but almost feels leather. I'm going to leave this on this bike so that SEER can get some free advertising when the guy's out on his bike. I think that's only fair. Very nice. All right, so I'll get this back to the customer. Let's see what we got next. Finish with this bike. I've had enough of it. Nice in the sunlight. Yeah, I actually really, really like that tape. Very, very nice. Just in case you're wondering, that's the off-cut bit. So there's me. Yeah, you ain't snapping that in a hurry, that's for sure. Flipping heck. Just before we look at this next one, quick pause to say a massive thanks to Sport and Leisure for sponsoring today's video. So we all know there's nothing worse than being right in the middle of a big job, only for everything to come to a grinding halt because the part you ordered, I said it was in stock, going to be here today, wasn't in stock, was it? Often not even in the same country, and that's exactly why I use Sport and Leisure. They're based right here in the UK, their stock levels are 100% live. It says it's on the shelf, it really is on the shelf, ready to go. Get your order in before 3 PM and it's dispatched the very same day with free delivery on all UK orders. Plus next day delivery starts from only £2.50. It's brilliant when you need to crack on with the job. They've updated the channel discount scheme for you. Head over to sportandleisure.com/BCR or scan this QR code on the screen right now. It'll generate a 10% discount at checkout off your very first order. So if you're buying parts anyway, it's an easy way to save a bit of cash. So the link's in the description below. And a massive thanks again to Sport and Leisure for continuing to support the channel. Right, let's see what we've got next. Next up we got this brand new Orbea. I think it's a week old. Customer's having issues with play in the back wheel. And there's quite a bit of play in there. Literally brand new. So it's a Shimano hub. I mean, it's not drastic, but for a brand new bike, I can feel that there's probably half a millimetre play in that wheel there, which is not acceptable. Obviously you're going to say, why don't you send it back for warranty? And he's already tried that. And same as many other manufacturers nowadays, what they tend to do is to say, get it fixed and we'll pay you for it. So that's why it's here basically. I'm going to look at this wheel. I've tried another wheel from another bike in here and there's zero play, so we know 100% it is coming from this wheel. So let's get this out and have a look. Clearly I've already had this out because I've took the rotor and the cassette off here. But let's have a look a bit deeper. It's not unusual for retailers to sell that now. Honestly, it's just cheaper, I guess, for them to just send that compensation or pay my bill. So many of them do it now. To be fair to Orbea, it's a Shimano part that's got issues, not Orbea themselves. So you could get this on any bike, basically. I mean, it's microscopic amount of play with, but like I say, for a brand new bike, there should be obviously zero. Like I say, it is so slight, you can't even feel it here, but when it's in the bike, obviously amplified to the edge of the rim, you can feel it. So let's get this out and see what's going on. Probably nothing, like I say, it's brand new, but it ain't right. Get this one out and clamping this end cap here. Just gonna give it a gentle tap. Pulls the end cap straight off. Free hub will then just pull out. And that shows you a hole here, which you need. Drop an Allen key through there. And on this side, you've got 17mm flats. And then get your spanner on here. You can use a cone spanner, but it's probably easy to use this if need be. And then it should just undo without too much difficulty. Hold the Allen key. There you go, that's broken it off. That's that. And the sleeve here, it comes off. Make sure you remember which way around it goes. Probably mostly don't make much difference, but there's a groove in there, lives in here. Take this off first, that's not off yet. Take that off. There's a seal here, you just pull straight out. Just get a pick or something behind it, that should come out without too much difficulty. Like that. There's the non-drive side bearing. So, slightly unusual design on here. Here's the ratcheting mechanism that's actually bolted to the hub. The axle going through it, and you can see this star pattern here. That's basically the tool that you're going to connect onto to unscrew that. So we need to drive this axle out from this side, which will take this non-drive side bearing out and just basically force it out. We're going to change the bearings because that's basically the only thing that can be wrong with it. One of these new bearings obviously failed quality control at some point from the factory, which we'll change them both out and hopefully that'll fix it. So I'm just going to drive this axle out first. So drop it onto a hub support, put this end cap back on so you've got something to actually tap it with. And it should just drive out now. Yeah, I'm telling you now, it feels pretty damn tight. I might have to get a puller of some sort on this. This is instructions in Shimano's PDF. Hit it out. There you go, not too bad actually. And there's the non-drive side bearing there. So we'll obviously change that and the other one if we can get to it. And this should just pull out. So that's what you got left. End cap, spacer, seal, axle, potentially dodgy bearing. There's obviously bearings in this free hub. But we'll do the wheel ones first, put it back together, see how we go. Because like I say, this is all brand new. Bearing feels totally fine. Potentially it wasn't pressed in, I don't know, by 1/4 millimeter, who knows, but we'll put some new ones in, obviously, anyway. 6902s, nice common bearing. First of all, got to get this other bit off. It could be a challenge. So, there is a special tool for here. I don't know if it is a super special tool that I need to order. So, believe it or not, I've looked at the Shimano PDF, and they put this on at 180 to 200 Newton meters. And that is just absolutely insane. That's tighter than a flipping crank bolt on a car or something crazy. That is just nuts. So, it could be a challenge. First of all, let me find out what tool it is, and then we'll see if we can get it off, because the other bearing lived behind this, that's the issue. Right, I've just rang Shimano UK to find out what tool it was, and it's a 19mm hex, as you do. I also queried the torque setting on this, and basically the guy thinks it's a misprint. He agreed with me, that is absolutely outrageous. 200 Newton meters. So he just said nice and tight, basically. So we've got to get this out, we've got to hold this in the vise somehow, and then try and turn it out. So let's have a look at that. Somewhere in here is the old faithful socket set I don't use anymore, but there's something in here that should work. Brittle. I've used this for years, so I'm thinking sliding T-handle like that should help. So my idea is clamp this in here. If it turns, it's only going to turn itself against there. Drop the 19mm Allen key bit on there, and then you put the axle on there and unscrew it. I believe it's a normal thread. Wish me luck. Not too bad at all. It certainly wasn't 200 Newton meters by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe 20. Well, here's the bearing. So that's the other one that we're going to change. He did say potentially you just got a rogue hub, which is not unheard of. Anyway, we'll change both of these, put it back together, and see how she feels then. If not, I'm going to attack the free hub bearings as well. A couple of new enduros here. So Shimano's instructions say if this bearing has fell out and needs to be pressed out, and you can see that I was able to pull that out extremely easily. So potentially that was the issue, as this bearing should have been pressed in there a bit more firmly from factory. So I'm going to press this one in here. A bit of grease in here just to help it along the way anyway. And then I think I'm just going to clamp this in the vise, to be honest. No, that's not going to take any pressing at all. That's literally dropped in there, so it won't go any further than that, that's for sure. That's fully seated in there. Okay, that's what it is then. Right, so this can go back in now. Just going to start it by hand. It's a normal right hand thread. Nip it on again to 200 Newton meters. Nice and snug, basically. A DT hub where you're taking out the ratchet ring, that's kind of how tight these things are, that sort of tightness level we're looking at. That is tight. So yeah, if you're working on one of them, you need a 19mm hex bit, as you do. Most of my other socket sets are Facom, basically, the ones I use day to day. Unfortunately, I had this set of gigantic hex bits. US Pro, not bad actually, I mean they're only a fairly cheap brand, but for the occasional use that you get, they do a pretty good job. And this axle will go back through, a bit of grease on the bearing surfaces in there. It goes through there. And then we need to press this second bearing in from non-drive side, again a bit of grease on there as well. And this part tool one here, and then just get the press assembled, slide it in. Should go in pretty easily, like that. There you go, literally one finger that's winding in. And just stop when it stops, and that's it. Drop that seal back in there, put that back in that drift again, that's on. Screw this end cap back on. I think it's at about 6 Newton meters, so just snug it up, basically, like that. That feels nice. And we've got this sleeve with that lip on here. A bit of grease just to help that along the way. Like that. And the free hub itself goes on. Like that. Then the last end cap just pushes on. Like that. Actually a pretty easy hub to service if you've got that 19mm bit. If you've not got that, you might struggle a bit. Well, you'll definitely struggle. Right, I'm going to throw it back in the bike like this and see if that play's gone. I mean, there is still the free hub, but that really shouldn't make any difference to the play I'm feeling here. That's in. And guess what? Absolutely no play there whatsoever. I could clearly feel that before. And that was gone. Beautiful, fixed. Well, I'll throw the rotor on and the cassette back on, and then this can go back to the customer. Let's see what we've got next. Well, I thought I'd fix that, but hey, customer's been on one ride and it's exactly the same again. However, in my defense, after doing some more research, this appears to be very, very common with the TC500 hub. Many people out there reporting brand new wheels, 20-30 miles. I can see loads of people have the same problem. Clearly a warranty issue, but like I say, customers not have much luck with Orbea by the sounds of it. So there is a fix apparently, which we're going to try because it's free first. If not, we're going to change the wheel to something without this model hub. I do get very few bikes back for repair after they've left the shop, fortunately, but it's always frustrating for both the customer and myself, obviously. If it's a manufacturing defect, then I think I can be excused a little bit. So this will come off, as we know. Yeah. And they are saying put a washer between this metal space that we have in here, remember, and this bearing here. Pedal washer is what they suggest. However, it's not a very good fit. It goes on the first bit, but there's a step here, it won't clear, so you need to open that up with a Dremel or something. So I ordered a bag of shims, basically. These are 0.3mm, 15mm, so they will drop exactly over there. The posts that I've read say 0.6 to 0.7mm is required. I don't know how they've calculated that, but these are 0.3, so 2 of these should be fine. So I'm going to add some grease on these and reassemble and basically put it back together. Some grease on there. Clearly, this would be the ideal opportunity if you had a mini lathe in the workshop to take this original spacer out and make a new one that's 0.6mm longer. I don't have a lathe, and if I did, I've not been trained how to use one, so maybe in the future I might grab something. Right, so they're in there. This will obviously drop back on there. Put the end cap back on, and we'll get it back in the bike. So there's no play there, and hopefully that resolves the issue once and for all. Obviously it is a warranty issue, but I'm not going to get into the ways that different retailers and different manufacturers deal with warranty claims, etc. I'm not going to get into that. Just trying to get the guy back on the road at the moment, so hopefully that has done it. Good. So hopefully that's resolved that. Pretty confident it will actually have fixed the issue. But going forward, if it hasn't, it will be a new wheel, unfortunately. Like I say, it's not unusual for online retail sales, especially for them to tell you to send it to your local person. They'll compensate you for it. I see it all the time, to be honest, so it's not unusual. It's just the way things are evolving with so much online sales, etc. So check out that bar tape, actually a big fan of that. They are sending me some more stuff now to look at, trial stuff, so I'm not sure if I'll be allowed to film that, but I'll be interested to be part of development. That's exciting stuff. So I hope you did enjoy it. If you've not already done so, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button, notifications, etc. I'll be back next week with more of the same. And thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.